Good morning and good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for the invitation to participate to this meeting and panel. In my talk, I will discuss and present some results obtained some studies that we have performed at the Center for Energy Policy and Economics on the relation between behavioral anomalies and the adoption of energy efficient technologies in the household sector in industrialized as well developing countries. To fight climate change and to reduce air pollution, especially in urban areas of developing countries, as you know, we need to cut CO2 emissions and we need to transform the current energy system in a sustainable system. And of course, we need on one side to promote the adoption of renewable energies. As you can see from this figure produced by the International Energy Agency, where you see that in order to reach a sustainable development scenario, we need to invest in renewable energy sources. But it is also very important to improve energy efficiency and to stimulate the adoption of energy efficient technologies. If we want to reach this sustainable development scenario, we should invest in both renewables and energy efficiency. And unfortunately, now we are wasting energy. And the inefficiency in the use of energy may be due, on one side, on the inefficient use of durable goods, such as electrical appliances, heating systems, vehicles. On the other side, and more important, on the low adoption of new energy-efficient technologies. In energy economics, we call this phenomena the energy efficiency gap. In this case, we have individual decision makers that do not choose the most energy efficient technology, even if this technology is also the most cost efficient choice. And we should keep in mind that the energy consumption is strongly influenced by investment decisions. If a household today decide to build a non-energy saving house, then this decision will have an impact on the energy consumption for the next 30, 40 years. If we can influence this decision and we can convince the household to invest in an energy saving house, then this decision will have a positive impact on the energy consumption for decades. Now, there are barriers to energy efficiency, and you can find in the literature several studies dealing with this issue and trying to identify the importance of the barriers. And we can identify three groups of barriers. On one side, we have the classical barriers that are related to the presence of market failures, such as the presence of negative externalities. This means that the prices don't reflect all the costs, don't include the environmental and social cost. And then we have presence of imperfect information, asymmetric information, and so on. And we have non-market failures such as hidden cost or uncertainty. But then we have what we call the behavioral anomalies. And this is related to to behavioral economics. And there are the presence of bounded rationality, for instance, is an important anomaly. In this case, economic agents fail to behave as homo economicus. They fail to minimize the cost. They fail to do in a correct way investment analysis. And this is due to maybe to cognitive limitation to perform an investment analysis or presence of loss aversion or limited attention, for instance, limited attention to the operating cost of durable goods, such as heating system, cars, and appliances. And then we have also bounded willpower. But in my talk, I will continue the discussion more on bounded rationality and forms of bounded rationality when making decision to invest in energy saving technologies are, on one side, failure of agent to compute the life cycle cost of durables correctly, and second, to have limited attention to the operating cost. Now, just to explain a little bit more this idea of bounded rationality in the choice of energy efficient technologies, well, let's assume that you have an economic agent that want to buy a fridge or want to buy a new motorbike, and then he can use two different decision-making strategies. On one side, you can identify the rational consumer. And in this case, the rational consumer make decision using information and cognitive skills to calculate the lifetime cost of, for instance, two fridges. And then he will choose the appliances that minimize lifetime usage costs based on upfront price, energy price, intensity of use, and lifetime. On the other side, you can identify bounded rational consumers. In this case, this economic agent make decisions using limited information and with cognitive constraint in processing information. The economic agent that is characterized by bounded rationality could choose the motorbikes or the electrical appliances by comparing purchase prices or just by comparing the energy label. And the decision to take one or the other strategy depend on several factors like education, information, income, or from the level of energy-related financial literacy that we define as the combination of energy-related knowledge and cognitive abilities that are needed in order to take decisions with respect to the investment for the production of energy services and their consumption. And in a first study that I'm now discussing or presenting the results, we analyzed the level of the energy-related financial literacy in Europe. And what we find out is that households in Europe don't have a high level of energy-related financial literacy. And the second, let's say, conclusions or outcome of this study is that higher levels of energy-related financial literacy increase the adoption of energy-efficient technologies. Here you can see on these slides the results of the various components of the energy-related financial literacy. That is, and we collect this information using by performing a survey with a question, and in this questionnaire you have several questions that give the possibility to create an indicator of the level of the energy-related financial literacy. And the questions, we have several questions. The one question is knowledge of price of the electricity price, and here you see that just in Europe, just 27% of the households know have knowledge of the electricity price, or just 45% of the households of the people that participated to the survey know how to calculate the lifetime cost. We have done a similar study in Nepal. Here the objective was, what are the socioeconomic determinants of energy-related financial literacy, and are higher levels of it associated with the rationality in replacement attitudes regarding inefficient appliances in the Nepali context? We also here we organize a survey and with more than 2,000 people participating. We also analyze the data using regression analysis, and the main results are, that we obtain are the following. First, we observe a gender gap in energy-related financial literacy. And we observe also that education is a strong determinant. And these are two results similar to the one that we obtain in the European context. Gender gap and education is important. But of course, here we found a lower level of financial literacy than in Europe. And this is probably due to the fact that the people in Nepal, they are less used to have a bank accounts and to deal with financial market issues. And the second result is that higher level of energy-related financial literacy, especially higher computational skills, are associated with respondents being more rational about replacing inefficient appliances. This was the second study. Then we have done recently a third study. Here you can see the results obtained on the energy-related financial literacy for Nepal. Also here you see that the percentage of lifetime cost, people that correctly answer to the question on the lifetime cost is very, very low. So we have a situation with poor knowledge and a low level of financial and energy-related financial literacy. Now, in a third study performed in Kathmandu, we were interested to evaluate the role of information-based nudges addressing cognitive limitations and limited attention in determining the choice for electric motorcycles. As you know, Kathmandu is a highly polluted, air-polluted area or urban area and city, and with a lot of old and energy inefficient motorbikes. And here we wanted to see if by providing more information on operating costs of petrol and electric motorcycles, more information on environmental benefits of electric over petrol motorcycle, and providing factual information on health implication of air pollution, it is possible to change the choice of the people interested to buy a new motorbike. And what we also here, we have a relatively large sample with more than 2,000 participants, and we found that all the treatments increase the probability of respondent choosing an electric motorcycle compared to the control group. This means that providing more information on operating costs, also information on health implication of choosing a motorcycle based on a petrol engine is as an effect on the choice. Now, conclusions, what we can learn from our results. Well, what we can say is that from an energy policy point of view, the results suggest that to improve, at least partially, the level of energy efficiency, we could promote the level of energy-related financial literacy. This is very important. To promote also the dissemination of information on operating costs, life cycle costs of durable goods. For instance, by using, and especially in developing countries, but not only there, by using labels, energy labels, and energy labels that include also monetary information on the operating cost. Personalized audit are also important, but not just audit on a technical, from a technical point of view, but audit also from a financial point of view. Promote educational training on energy and investment related topics, or I think it's very important also provide digital decision support tools, such as online or mobile phone investment calculators that can help consumers to make more sustainable development-oriented choice. More generally, generally, what we can say is that the effectiveness of introduction of environmental taxes or subsidies, such as a CO2 tax, can increase if people are informed and have a high level of energy-related financial literacy. Because if people they have a low level of energy-related financial literacy, and the government introduce a CO2 tax or a subsidy, then these people they will not integrate this monetary incentive in an investment calculation or in the calculation of the lifetime cost. Therefore, the effectiveness of this policy measure will not be so high. And generally, of course, we need a mixture of energy policy instrument that goes from education, information, taxes, subsidies, and standard, because the standard can be also effective, especially in situation where the people they are not doing investment analysis when they are choosing among several energy technologies. Thank you for your attention.